50 years of ministry with legendary Christian rocker John Schlitt. Let's do it.
This is the definitive podcast for helping you plan, create, and execute dynamic worship experiences at your church. Useful, practical content in the areas of production, worship, communications, first impressions, and more. This is Making Sunday Happen.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you here this week. I just got back today from visiting Charlotte, North Carolina. A brand new church just came on with us, Freedom House Church in Charlotte. So big shout out to Brian Watson and Brad Christian and the team there. The guys use us for custom media and some ready-made media from our team. They're doing incredible work there at Freedom House with their multiple campuses. And we have done some work for their conferences and also sermon series and stuff like that. So if you need help at your church, feel free to reach out. We are super relational. We will come visit you. We will get on the phone with you. We love hanging out with you in ministry. We love being on mission with you, helping you visually communicate the gospel. Well, thank you so much for being here this week. I have a big one this week. I have a background in Christian radio, and I've been doing interviews for almost 20 years or so, and I'm asked all the time, who is my most favorite interview? Who is the person that you enjoyed interviewing the most? And I would have to say that this week's guest probably takes the top spot for me. I'm welcoming the frontman of the legendary Christian rock band Petra. John Schlitt will be here. Now, this is my third time interviewing John on the air over the years. I also see him at a conference that we both go to about once a year, maybe every other year or so. And I interviewed him way back when Petra was on their farewell tour. This is circa 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. I interviewed him on radio. And Petra was on their farewell tour. And what was really incredible in my days there interviewing him was that I was expecting a big, huge interview, big answers, just kind of an epic interview with this Christian rock legend, really, in Petra. And he was extremely humble, one, and also this was a time where Petra was calling it quits. They were on their farewell tour. Now they left the door open to do, reunions and little benefits and stuff like that. But this was their last big tour together. And he was really at a loss on what God was doing with him next. And so he was very vulnerable, very emotional, even in that interview. And this was a long time ago, almost 20 years ago, when I interviewed him then. So it's fitting to have him back for this episode. Petra is celebrating 50 years in ministry. John has seen a lot over the years. They're back on a reunion tour celebrating 50 years, so I thought it was a great time to invite John back. He has been on this podcast early on, like episode 50, 51, somewhere in there. We can put it in the show notes for you. So this will be the third time that I've interviewed John on the air, and so we had an incredible time chatting. We talked today about the changes in the church, changes in ministry, changes in culture, changes in the music industry, obviously big changes there with streaming platform and stuff like that. Also his most embarrassing stage fumble. Also, we'll talk about the importance of visual media when it comes to visuals in worship, and also the song that he had the hardest time singing and remembering the lyrics to, that and more on today's interview in the show. I can't wait to share this interview with you. So John Schlitt is coming up next, so hang on tight. This is a big one. Hey friends, if you are a ministry leader that needs high quality graphics and video content at your church and fast, Be sure to check out our growing ready-made media library at 1230media.com. We have 9 product lines of fresh content, including mini movies, motion backgrounds, countdowns, full series kits, themed packs, and more. And we are adding to the library every single day, every single week, fresh content dropping inside the library. You can start downloading your church visuals today, either a la carte or through our annual subscription. It's all at 1230media.com/go for Go Unlimited, 1230media.com/go. Hey, ministry leaders. Today I have a very special guest on as I welcome John Schlitt, the lead singer of Petra, one of the most popular and influential bands in Christian music history. They're currently on a reunion tour celebrating 50 years of the band. John, welcome back, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, Carl. It's great to be here. Except it is an early morning, and I'll tell you what, and I look it too.
I know you were a sleeping giant before I woke you up.
Ooh, that's
but
good.
You're in the right place. You're in the right place.
Absolutely.
They're just coming, baby. I can see how many puns I can get in here.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Well, man, 50 years. Congratulations. Incredible accomplishment, man.
Thank you. It's well, you know what? I'm actually part of 2 bands that were part of 50 years. I celebrated the other band about 2 years ago, and then this band, my gosh, Petra. Think about it, 50 years of a ridiculous ministry that through the ups and downs and the guys in the band kept that focus, and God has honored it. And it's even now, I mean, my gosh, the band hasn't had a record in 20 years, and the shows are going great, and the people there are having a ball and having fun praising Jesus. And so it's an amazing way to live.
Well, so you've been on a couple of times. I interviewed you on radio back in like 2005, 2006, right when you guys were retiring, doing a kind of a farewell tour.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming back on this reunion. I know you guys have probably done some maybe benefits and some things here and there, but nothing nothing like an official tour until now, right?
I think in the last 20 years, we've probably done a total of 10, 15 shows in 20 years. So, and they were all, we did give ourselves a little out when we said we're retiring, was if there was a benefit or something that would be helpful, we could do it, So, and we were taken up on it, especially overseas. And that was always fun. It was great to get back with everybody. And this tour was basically Bob calling me and saying, John, it's 50 years. We should do something.
Yeah.
And so we're doing something, and it's been a ball.
How many dates? It's kind of a limited number, right? Are you adding to it as you go, or what's it look like?
Yeah, we're adding to it if there's interest. For instance, we just added a show in Rio in December. We have probably a couple more. I think right now the total this year is about 20, maybe 25 at the end of it, all over the world. And last year, actually, this is funny. We're being totally honest about this. Our 50th year is 3 years. It started last year, this year, and next year. Next year is the 50th anniversary of our first album.
Okay.
And so what that does is, because basically our word of mouth, our advertising is just word of mouth. So last year there was, Petra's out again. Wow. And then this year, because of last year, there was a lot more shows that people just, wanted to do. And I have a feeling next year will probably be even more than this year. This year was already pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's great with, COVID kind of threw a wrench in things, but I'm glad to see you guys back and touring everywhere. What are some things that you guys talk about or perform? What are some things that the fans are going to see and really relive some memories on this tour?
Well, when you have 50 years of Petra, one of the hardest things to do is represent those 50 years through songs that would make a difference. Think about it. It's like you've got like 20 songs you can do in a set with that time period, and that has to cover 50 years. So we've been sort of refining even starting last year, we're refining the set just a little bit. If someone says, "I wish you'd have played that," and we think about, yeah, that would have been a good song. So we've been honing it in. I think we pretty much got it now,
Mm.
and that was the hardest part: finding songs that represented all 50 years.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you go, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that song. That was so long ago." But you did, yeah. But it represents that area very well.
Yeah.
And so that, if there was anything difficult about doing the show, would be which songs represent and cover more fairly through the 50 years.
Are they coming back pretty quick? Do you remember them musically and the
No,
lyrics and all?
no, it's hard. No, I am suffering. No, it's actually you. After a while, it just gets to be a fun thing. You remember,
Yeah.
you do. It takes a while. I mean, my guys, what is it? 200 songs that Petra did, not to mention all my solo stuff, and
Yeah.
It takes a while to find that spot in my brain where I've got all the words again.
I'm
But
sure.
but oh, listen, I'm certainly not suffering. It's great to be able to do it.
What are some hits? What are some maybe most requested songs for the set?
Well, Beyond Belief, of course. Jekyll and Hyde. A lot of the rock stuff, which we had to put in a medley, which we were able to cover a bunch of stuff that way. Some of the slow songs, again, we have a medley that's really, really cool. And then, oh my gosh, Lord, I lift your name on high, believe it or not. That was a major, no doubt, love, prayer, creed. These are all, I think a lot of those were from Beyond Belief, but Beyond Belief was a very big record.
Yeah.
This Means War.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I just, name off the titles of all the albums. And
right. Yeah. Get a pretty good shot.
I mean, without the medleys, there's no possible way we could have done it. But we represent, I think, believe it or not, we even do I Love the Lord and I Will Call, which was off the first Praise and Worship record. So, and that really hits strong. So it's a lot of, depending on what part of the world we're in. So it's sort of, you have to be sort of careful on which songs were big where, and just to sort of play that game.
I mean, I found that very interesting that you guys are probably, would you say you have more of an international following than the States? I know you now, go all over the place.
Yeah, I'd say now we probably are more, we're probably better received in Scandinavia and South and Central America than and Germany.
Wow.
Probably, yeah, we're probably more received there than here. There's so much going on here that I always say that, the secular world music world is an ocean and the Christian world is a puddle. And there's only so much room for the fish, and there's a lot of young fish that are doing great, and us old guys get sort of thrown out, out on the shore, and that's okay. My gosh, we have nothing to complain about. We were at a peak for 3 or 4 generations. So the fact that we're even able to go out and play now is a true miracle.
Yeah. So 50 years, you guys have seen the music landscape, like you were saying, just change and shift several times, I'm sure. So what are some of the changes that you've seen maybe in the church or in the culture that do you mention some of that in the concert?
Well, yeah, Bob talks about 50 years. That year was something's happened, this happened, and it basically shows that nothing's changed except it has,
Yeah.
But well, the church gave us a whole variety of responses through our 50 years, from thinking we're from hell to being very supportive to who cares, that kind of thing. And so we saw, I think, all parts. We saw every type of response you could get. It was nice when they were very supportive and saw the vision of what we had and worked hand in hand with us. That was amazing. That was fantastic. In the beginning, when I first joined the band, I couldn't believe the reverse reception that I thought we'd get. I thought the world would hate our guts and the church would be our best friends, and sort of reversed in that the world
Hmm.
said, yeah, great band, we just don't like what they have to say. So we were sort of ignored by them, but appreciated in the church. They thought we were. I just couldn't believe. I couldn't believe the fact that all the things that we were accused of. But we weren't playing for the church. We were playing for Christ, and we were doing our best with the talents He gave us and the vision He gave us, and so we just persevered, and God took it how He wanted to, and He used and the church was brought in when He wanted it to, and then after a while, like I said, a lot of other groups came in that were fresh and new, and we were sort of oh hum, and that was good. That's how it works.
Well, you've always kind of considered Petra, and correct me if I'm wrong, more of a evangelistic as opposed to edification. You're more reach the lost as opposed to singing to the choir. Would you agree with that?
That sounds like something I said. Good man. All right. Yes, I do. I believe that. I believe that rock and roll is a very evangelistic type of music. It's very exciting. It's on the edge. But when you're singing about the most exciting subject in the history of mankind, called Jesus,
Yeah.
it just totally makes sense to me. And not everyone agreed with that, but I had no qualms about it. Still believe that. And there's amazing worship music now. I mean, everywhere, and it's really good. But I don't know if worship music is very good for evangelization. I
Mm-hmm.
just it's not the style of music that people were trying to reach that wouldn't walk into a church would they turn it off in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Place for
But
both. There's a place
yeah,
for both.
exactly. My concern for Christian music is it's the evangelism. The evangelism is some sort of put to the side for the edification because it's easier to sell, at least in the Christian music scene. And I get that. It's capitalism. Praise God. I love capitalism. So, but I still believe that there are some amazing bands out there that are totally evangelists. They're rock and rollers. They're out there doing their thing. But like when Petra first started, it's almost a cycle again.
Mm.
It's a cycle, totally ignored. At least they don't have to be sold under the table like we were. But it's
Mm.
sort of they're not praise, they're not worship music, so we don't care, and which is a shame. But there are bands. I mean, there's bands out there, new bands that are doing amazing things. Praise God. But they're getting more. They're getting more help from the world than they are from the church.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think that you guys, I mean, you guys were in a wave of you and Striper and others that, and you can help me say this better, but I mean, if it was a ballad, maybe it would get played on Christian radio.
Yep.
But probably not some of the rock stuff. So you were probably too rock and roll for the Christian radio, but probably your message was too Christian for the secular radio. So you were kind of, I mean, you Striper, there were a few others probably that were just kind of sitting on the outside.
Oh, we
Um,
weren't sitting. We weren't sitting. We just were sort of struggling by
you were
ourselves.
rocking on the outside, is what you were
Yeah,
doing.
absolutely. And you know what? Absolutely, that was the formula. And we loved doing both. Loved doing both music forms. I mean, the slow stuff that Bob wrote is totally it's anointed.
Yeah.
But we'd have to have two or three of those songs just to hope to get played, so people knew we had a new record. But the rock stuff was absolutely designed for our live shows because that's what the kids would want to come and see. The kids did not want to be put to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted rock. They're kids. They wanted excitement. So we were. But what's cool is that exciting music had a message that still was lifting up Jesus Christ. So it worked. It was for real, and it wasn't a game we were playing. It was something we saw as a way to satisfy both portions. Both the slow stuff for the church was edifying. The rock stuff for the live concerts was very edifying. It worked.
Mm.
And Stryper, of course, understood that. They're heavy duty dudes that saw the vision, and I think every band that was able to last saw that vision. And the only way you could in Christian music, the only way that you could get out the fact that besides word of mouth that the band had a new record was the slower songs that were safer to play on Christian radio.
Mm-hmm. Did you have what was stuff that you guys got the most flack for? Was there a song or a album or
Yeah.
concert? I mean, was it just everything from Christian radio and others?
In the beginning, it was. I mean, there were radio stations that totally supported us. They were hand in hand. They had the same vision, and then there were radio stations that wouldn't have touched us with a 10-foot pole, because not that those people didn't enjoy what we were doing. It's their base, their money base would have freaked out if they'd heard something like us on it, and they wouldn't have supported me because everything was, listener supported, and they had to pay their bills, which is, again, that's the plus. There's a plus and minus of capitalism, and that was one of the minuses.
Was it different internationally? Was there Christian radio, or what did it look like internationally?
Well, internationally, in Europe, for instance, when I first started touring there, I mean, they were comparing us to U2. That's how they, U2 is sort of that has that religious base, and we were compared to U2. So we were getting not as much secular support as we'd like, but for a long time, the idea of a Christian band our size didn't even relate. We just sort of would be, yeah, we're a great band, but you're sort of like U2, you had that Christian. But then as time went on, they realized what we were saying. We got sort of shoved in that unique, yeah, they're a Christian band, in a negative form, in a negative sense. Because I mean, the world does not want to see light. It's the darkness doesn't want to see light, and I get that, and that's something we always understood. And just again, it was one of those things we had to overcome, and it was worth it. It was worth it.
Yep, yeah, it was. I mean, you guys really did. Do you see you as paving the way for, I mean, I grew up late 80s, early 90s, where there was a huge boom of more CCM kind of stuff. Do you see you as those guys standing on your shoulders? How do you look back and view that time period of that boom?
Well, I think a lot of people say that. I mean, I don't know.
You don't feel that?
Nah, I think we were just lucky that, we were just blessed to be one of the first.
Yeah.
I will say that we did go through a lot of garbage that I don't think these bands have to do anymore, and I'm glad. I mean, shoot, if they have to go through the same stuff we did, then what's going on? I mean, don't we learn? I'm glad and as long as they're lifting up Christ and being a real Christian band and not trying to use it as a jump off for bigger, better things, I love it. I love the fact that it's a little easier for them. When I say it, guys, I understand it's not easy. I get it, but hopefully it's a little easier for the dues we paid.
Do you feel what do you feel about the streaming movement, moving from more radio driven, have to be played on radio in order to be found, into streaming? Is it better, worse?
Do you see my look? Do you see the look in my face?
Yes.
I'll tell you what, to me, the internet was a curse to music, and we haven't overcome it yet. There was a time when you do a record and that's how you would pay your bills. And then you would tour to support the record. Now you do a record, hopefully you're able to get it mastered before they steal it. And then the record supports the tour. And that's disgusting to me. I do not like, I don't like how it is now. It's a shame.
Yeah.
If you're in the top 0.999%, you make a living off of music.
Right.
The rest of it's pretty much freebie garbage, and it really irritates me.
Yeah, I don't know if the average listener really understand that on a Spotify or something, the artist is making millipennies, maybe.
Yeah.
That it's just turned over so much.
Somebody's making money. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not happy for them. I would like to be making that money, but
right.
but it's, I've seen the writers, it's just, I don't know. It's just actually the writers, I think, come out okay, but it's just, it's not the way it was. And I like the way it was.
Yeah.
I'm older. I like the way things used to be.
Yeah.
But it's great for the public. They can, punch in anytime they want and maybe, pay so and so to get every free record they ever, every song. Develop their own playlist, which I'm not against. I think that's cool. I think the idea you got to buy an album to get a song is very unfair. I always did. That's why when Petra and my old band, we would try to make sure every song had a value. And if it didn't, I didn't. It was like, this song's not cool if it doesn't stand on its own. And so when you have, now that's a plus to me. The people can choose to hear what they want to hear, and they don't have to buy, 9 other something they just threw on
Right.
to get that one song. That's a major plus. I totally get the public loving every minute of this, but
Sure.
there's going to come a time when the quality of the music is gone because nobody that had the skill to do it or
Right.
were designed to do it can afford it. They're pumping gas somewhere.
Correct. I think it's really hurting the artists. I have a background in radio, and the flip side of that though is you'd play the single. You might get a couple of singles off the album, but the rest of the album, sometimes if they didn't get the album, they're not hearing some great music. So I think there's
absolutely
pluses and minuses to that. All right.
Yep.
You have a story of coming through addiction through your days at Head East, coming through Petra, Jesus changing your life. What are some of the things over the years that you're most grateful for as you reflect on 50 years of just Petra, and then musically before that also? What are some things that you're most grateful for?
Well, I'm most grateful that Bob called me and allowed me to be part of the Christian music industry, because it allowed me to use the talents God's given me and the experience God gave me through Head East.
Were you grateful that you were fired by Head East?
Now I am. At the time,
not at the time.
At the time I was very ticked off about it, but no, actually we're buddies now. I mean, the guys that fired me, they're on my documentary, so I'm very grateful. In fact, there may come a time this year where Head East and Petra is going to play in the same festival. If they do, I'm probably going to sing on both.
That would be crazy, man. That would be awesome.
It'll be a ball. So was I grateful? No. Am I now? Absolutely. I'd say it's probably it's got to be the best thing that ever happened to me. But I'm very grateful to Bob for calling me, for the band to put up with me in the first 6 months of getting my chops back, and just that. And I'm very grateful how God's taken care of my family. The fact that being in a Christian rock band was it's God family job, and our family just prospered because of it. I made a couple of mistakes when I took over the live portion of the band. I would have loved to go back and redo that, but other than that,
the live portion, is that what you said?
Yeah, I think right after we recorded No Doubt, Bob left the band to homeschool his boy, Jeff, and I took over the live portion of the band. And so Bob handled the recording side with John and Dino, and he made those decisions. I made decisions for the live concerts. And I made a major mistake on that tour that cost me for years and years and years and years financially. I would have liked to not done that, but it was quite a learning curve, and I thought with my heart rather than my head, and just blew it. But even that was, I mean, every show we did, every tour we did was exciting in different ways. Do I regret falling for, getting into the backstage of the secular world? I do. It almost very close to suicide. But as you look back, God it's not like God allowed me to want to do kazoo, but He used it, and everything turned out in a magnificent way for me. So would I do anything different? Probably, but it's amazing how God takes some of the dumbest things you do and turns it into something very cool. So
Yeah.
uh, hopefully, whatever the decisions would have been, I would end up being what I'm doing now, because this has been a beautiful way to live. I mean, I'm very grateful.
Is there we mentioned that you've traveled around all 50 states internationally. Is there a favorite place or region that stands out that you like to go?
That's not fair. I'm diplomatic. Every place is good. What are you talking about? Actually, you know what? I'm not going to answer that one.
Okay.
No.
All right.
It's better. I love everybody. Every state's pretty nice.
Good answer. All right. All right. Kind of random question for you. How important is the visual media to your concerts over the years? Well, like, what's on the screens during your concert? How important is that visual media?
Very important. We even now we don't Petra, because we were part of the old stock when video wasn't in. We still are like we're not we don't have gigantic. Well, yeah, we do. Some of our shows we have a lot of action in the back. I truly believe people hear with their eyes, so visual is super important, especially now with your phones, with the TV video, with the internet. Oh my gosh, video sometimes for live shows is probably more important than the sound. I hate to say that, but unless the sound is horrendous, you can only get away with so much. But yeah, the action behind the scene, behind the stage is super important.
More the camera shots, more the visual media content, motion graphics behind you. Give me some specifics.
All the above. As long as there's action, as long as there's attention grabbing things, and the real pros are the ones that don't take the attention from the band, but build it up. I mean, you can have where there's no cameras at all, and you can have effects and video and that kind of stuff, and have it coordinated with the songs, and it's amazing. It's got to be bigger than life. Every concert was always bigger than life, but back when, before video, it was a big symbol, sort of what we have now. We've got shows where we have this gigantic 50th anniversary symbol. It looks pretty cool. But we're used to that. We do it. That's the way we did it. Groups nowadays, man, they manipulate the video. It's a major deal to them. It's not as much to us, but I totally know that with as much video in the background, it makes it for a better experience for the crowd.
The reason that was a selfish question, in that our company makes a lot of that stuff for churches, for ministries, and for
was this a commercial?
Artists. Well, this was a infomercial. I was playing you. I was
thanks a lot, buddy.
No. Kidding in a way, but I do want to mention that on how important that is. Do you find that different from old school to today? Do you find people more visually active today than years ago, or always been important?
You mean bands, or you mean audience? Which side of the stage?
Good question. Probably audience. Is it more important for the audience to see more things, or for it to be more?
Yes. Yeah, I think it is. I think the visual is, they expect it. They are visual people. They are stimulated by visual as much as audio. It makes for an event. It's bigger than life. That's visual can be that, depending on how big screens are, depending on how much movement is involved, how many changes. Oh yeah, it makes for a magnificent effect.
Have you had several people go through, or have you had the same crew members over the last 50 years? How many times have that run over?
We had one person who had been part of us for years and years and years. And he finally said, "You know what? it's time for me to put down the gambit and somebody else take over." So we've got new guys that they're younger, of course, and that know what they're doing for today's technology. And just we got the band may be the old guys that do their thing, but we have to have support that's very current and knows how to use what's available now.
Good. All right, a couple more questions, then I got some quick rapid fire before I leave you. All right, you've talked about God, giving God your very best. So knowing that what you were competing with, maybe on the secular stage. So what would you tell young musicians and worship leaders coming up about giving God your best?
That's the only thing I can say. Give your best. Don't ever accept it's Christian, so it's good enough. It should be it's Christian, so it's got to be the best I can do. God deserves 110%. Shoot, he deserves 1,000%. Jesus Christ gave his all. He gave 100%. He couldn't have done more. Besides the fact that he gave his life, his blood shed for us, he gave us the teaching. So if we're not out there doing our best as Christian artists, how dare we even call ourselves a Christian artist? You know, when I carried the label Christian rocker, as far as I'm concerned, that meant I better be the best Christian I possibly can be, and I better be the best rocker I possibly be. So I think that's very important to understand that you wear that label, it's a double whammy, and it's totally different from being a secular rock and roller.
What does that responsibility feel like, maybe on stage or maybe with your albums, where you can't preach too much because you might be too preachy, or you preach too little, you're not edifying the body? How does that, talk to me about that responsibility?
It's quite a challenge. I mean, you have to have a major conversation with God every time you do a record. And you've got to figure out, Lord, what is it with this song? What is it that will serve the best? How can we do it? Well, first of all, don't you ever, as a Christian artist, don't ever go in and say, well, this is sort of, this could have 2 or 3 different meanings. We want to hit the general populace, which I hate that word. It just, to me, that just says compromise. Because you can hit the general populace, but if it's not saying anything, what makes you any different than the big hit wonder of the day in the mainstream?
Yeah.
It just, there's no value to it. There's no, Christian music has to have a value that lasts past, it has to be timeless. It has to have a message that never changes. It has to, it's a challenge. It's a major challenge. And when you're done with your record or your CD or your stick, whatever you're playing it on now, you have to be able to look at it and say, okay, I did my best. Lord, take it and use it, or don't.
Yeah.
But do your best. You just have to. That has to be a concern to you. You have to make sure it's the best quality music you can do, but the message better be absolutely understood. Now, like you said, it can't be too preachy, or the people you're trying to reach will go, it's too churchy. Well, yeah, I get it. But on the other hand, there's got to be a message that can sink in and finally go, oh, okay, I get it. It may not have been, that message may not have been formed that minute, but there may come another time where God uses both and comes together. It's like, All
right, rapid fire for you. You ready? Here we go.
No,
Here we go. Here we go. Brace yourself. Okay. All right. Do you have a favorite Petra song? Is there one or two that stands out?
Stop that. No, actually, I got a bunch of favorite Petra songs. I know it's going to surprise you, but I always say No Doubt. No Doubt is a song that has probably been never appreciated. In fact, the album was never appreciated as much as it should have been. But I
think that was one of the best albums.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do. I mean, Right Place was on that one. Was it Think Twice?
Yeah.
I'm with you, baby. Let's go.
You're my guy, but I'm telling you, we think alike. Okay, that's fast fire. Okay, what's next?
Oh no! All right. I thought you were going to quiz me on the song list on the album. I was like, I don't know. That's all I know.
No. Hey, I don't know what they are. What are you talking about?
All right, here we go. What is the story of Petra's music having an impact on somebody that you'll always remember? Remember this specialty.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of those right now. I mean, we actually do a VIP signing before the show now instead of afterwards, and oh my gosh, I've got so many people coming out. I'm a pastor, and because you were saved at so and so concert, it's never, you never hear that enough. It just warms your heart. You go, thank you, Lord. It's like God saying, okay, your vision is right. It was okay, John. I used it. Here's a good example. Just seriously, there's no one that I can say because we're just getting bombarded with so many.
Does that soften the blow of the flack or the I guess obstacles you guys had to overcome?
Oh no, that was the flack just hardened me. I don't care anymore. But no, I don't need. There really came a time when I said, okay, I'm done. I'm done trying to justify the fact that we are Christian rock band. When you say people, I said, I don't care what they think. I'm doing it for Christ. They can think what they want. I don't need to try to change their minds.
Good. All right. What is a song that you always forget the words to?
All of them. Okay, right now there's a song, and I don't know why, but it's Fool's Gold. For some reason. And when we play it now, everybody can say, "Oh yeah, he blew the words on that one again." That's the one song in the set that for some reason I either switch the lines or
can't get it.
That one is scary to me.
Is there a song that was popular that you didn't care for as much?
That's a good question. Just a minute. Okay. I think there was, but I can't remember what it was. I love Fired Up, but it was so high that I didn't like singing it. I loved the song. It was great, but it was so in the stratosphere, even when I was younger, that it was like
hard to do.
Yeah. Now I just said, okay, now I'm not doing it.
All right. See, these are getting harder. See, I started you with the, one that everybody asks. Now I'm getting harder.
Now you're showing my weaknesses. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Is there a song that you felt was cringeworthy that you wanted us to burn all the copies of?
Boy, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, just a minute. No. Okay. I think every song on Petra's records we're listening to.
So that's one of my favorites. So I've had Stephen Curtis Chapman and Tomlin and other. That's one of my favorite questions to catch him on. All right, is there a song that surprised you in how popular it became?
No. Nope.
What Christian or secular rock band were you most jealous of over the years?
If I was jealous of any band at any time, it would have been Stryper. When I first joined the band, I was jealous of the fact that they were on every magazine.
You didn't want to wear the yellow spandex?
Oh, heck no. I thought that now I'm buddies with them now, so I probably I thought that gimmick just ticked me off. It was too easy.
Yeah.
But then I realized later it wasn't really good. That was them,
Yeah.
So at the time, I think I was jealous of Stryper probably.
All right, two more. What is the biggest fumble that you've ever had on stage?
You have to do that. I mean, okay, I was in Scandinavia, and Dino, this was before they had produced our first record. Dino had come to Scandinavia to watch us, and that was when it was cool to have everything off stage, all the amps and everything under the stage. All you saw were the 5 guys with the drum set. And I can't stand floor monitors because I move around too much. And they had these super troopers, which are spotlights that just blind you. And one was on me the whole time. And so I'm out doing my thing, and I go to the front of the stage and I back up and I fall flat on my back in front of 6,000 people and Dino. And I get up and I was so embarrassed. I wanted to go behind an amp just for a little bit but there was no amp to get back. I think that was one of the most embarrassing things.
Middle of a song? Did you have to just?
Oh gosh, yes. Oh yeah, right in the middle. Yeah, couldn't have picked a lousier time to do it.
Oh man. All right, last one for you. What legacy do you pray that Petra leaves on the music industry?
I think we already have. I think we are known as a true Christian band, that we were trying our best to be what God wanted us to be. And I think the legacy is already there. Praise God.
Awesome. Man, thank you for answering the random questions and being here. I know that I remember interviewing you when you retired or when the farewell happened, and you were you didn't know what was next.
No, I didn't.
And that caught me by surprise. I was like a young college student interviewing you, and I was expecting big questions, big answers, whatever, and you're like, I have no idea what God has for me next. And so I always remember that. That was really neat that you were just so humble and then not knowing. And and it's been an interesting few years for you doing solo stuff and all that too.
Yeah, it has been. I've enjoyed that time too. It's just, the Petra times were the epitome. But on the other hand, after dealing with all the song stealing and all that stuff, you had to learn a different way. And I've got a lot of people that are trying to teach me how to, teach an old dog new tricks with the internet. Instead of having it be the enemy, you try to use it in a better way. For instance, our interview here, that wouldn't have happened back in the past. And
right.
This is sort of the new thing, and people get to see this interview in a whole different way and probably see it more than it could have done in the old way. So,
right.
So there's a lot of pluses. I just had to learn how to use them. I was able to do my solo career, which I'm still sort of in the middle of too. And God's good. He knows what he's doing. I didn't, as you asked me that time. Yeah, I was, and that time period was a lot of ups and downs too. So
yeah.
Praise God.
Well, man, so appreciate your time today. Really grateful for you. And I know you've got in on this tour, but just appreciate you standing firm in the faith and believing in the vision that God gave you. And it's really made a difference. And just know that, man. Really, really appreciate your faithfulness.
Thanks, buddy. It's always a joy to talk to you, even if it does take 20 years to do it. But it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thanks for your interest.
Hey guys, hanging out with Angie Lomas. She is our lead designer on the 1230 team. Angie, so talk to me about creating custom graphic designs for churches and ministries. I want people to get a sense of what kinds of projects we get to do at 1230.
Well, of course, we get to do the sermon series. I love getting to tackle lots of different sermon series for different kinds of churches, ministries. But we also do, social graphics. We do social graphics for kids, for students, for just the adult church at large. But some of the other cool things that we get to do are partner with conferences. I'm working on a men's conference, a marriage conference, and sometimes it's not even building out, the main graphic. Maybe a church comes with the main graphic and then we build all the collateral out, kind of come alongside a creative team to do that. So basically, if you can dream it, we could probably find a way to work it in and get it done for you.
Yeah, well, I love what you do for our team and for the church at large. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
I love it. Thanks.
The show notes for this episode are available now at makingsundayhappen.com. Hey
guys, well, we seem to be in a series of talking to a lot of worship leaders, Shane and Shane last week, and then this week having John Schlitt on. If you missed that episode last week with Shane and Shane, that's episode number 411. Be sure to go back and listen to that show. Incredible time with them as we talked about how to mentor the next generation of worship leaders when it relates to making Sunday happen. So you can listen to that episode as well as our entire archives. You can get at makingsundayhappen.com. All the episodes are there absolutely free. Also, all the show notes, all the goodies are right there for you, makingsundayhappen.com. All right, next week on the show, I welcome Griffin McCravey. Griffin is the broadcast lighting director at Church of the Highlands in Birmingham. I'll also welcome Brandon Creel. Brandon is a lighting and rigging expert. Lighting is not an area of my expertise, but it does have to do with making Sunday happen. Lighting is a big factor when it comes to creating your worship experience. I'm talking with both of these guys about lighting and rigging for your worship experience. So if you are in production, specifically the lighting area, we're going to talk with both of these guys. I interviewed them both at SALT Conference last year, so we are just now getting to airing those interviews with you. SALT Conference is coming up this year in just a couple months, so be sure to sign up for that. My buddy Luke McElroy runs that conference, does an excellent job with his team. All right, Griffin McCravey and Brandon Creel up next week. Don't miss it. Well, go out there and create some incredible worship experiences this weekend. I'll catch you next week.
Making Sunday Happen is a production of the ministry of 1230 Media. For show notes, archive episodes, and more free resources for your church, visit makingsundayhappen.com.